if you look at those trees, if you've ever taken a walk through a forest and you see trees that are cut, it tells you the history of the trees. Each of those rings is a year. And it tells you, there have been bad years and good years. And if you look at the tree to my right, that's a real healthy tree. It looks nice and clean. It's kind of boring. But what happens is it has a healthy core. It means that every year of its life has been okay. It didn't get overwhelmed and was able to grow to the next year. What is much more like all of us is this tree. And what that means is we all lived around not necessarily having perfect childhoods. So sometimes we heard too much yelling. Sometimes we had to pick sides between a mom and dad who were getting divorced. So what happens is when we had that as our childhood, instead of feeling strong, we feel kind of traumatized. Instead of looking out at the world with just pure curiosity, we check where we're going. And I bring that up because when traumas like the coronavirus hit us, what happens, and we can't move forward outwardly, like those trees live outwardly, we turn inward to see if we can handle it. And if what we were raised with was this, we often feel we can't handle it. And that's when we do things that make us feel better for the moment, but they don't really help us get through it. What I'm hoping to do with the answers to the questions is each one's going to give you a skill to help build a solid core so that all of us can better handle the traumas in life.
You were talking about different environments in which people grow up in, and so we won't dive too much into that. But in an environment where mental wellness is difficult to keep stable, what can students do in order to combat their surroundings and stay positive?
Here's something that I've learned lately. The opposite of panic is perspective. I mean, think about that. The opposite of panic is perspective. And perspective is, we're going to get through this. This too shall pass. Panic is the sky is falling. So one of the ways to develop perspective, and I just got off a parenting call with young kids, and I said, here's a suggestion. Before you put them to bed, say to them, what was the best thing that happened today and what was the worst thing? And when they say what the worst thing is, I teach people how to go deeper. So when they say, I got into an argument and I just felt terrible, you take it another level and you say more about it feeling terrible. So you're teaching them to get stuff off their chest. And then when they say what was wonderful, you do the same thing, but you go 2 levels deeper because you want them to be able to dwell more on the positive thing. And then what you ask your kid is, what are you most excited about tomorrow and what are you most nervous about? You don't give them advice unless they ask you. But the idea, here's what you're teaching them. You're teaching them that good and bad happens every day and we get through it. You're also teaching them that talking about it helps you to feel better in ways that eating too much pizza or under eating or whatever just doesn't. So you're actually giving them a taste of what it's like to be able to talk things through, and you're inviting them to tell you things that are both good and bad.
So sort of just teaching them healthy ways to cope with stress and to just sort of also teach them to focus on the good of their lives?
Well, why don't you just answer the questions? You are a good man.
Thank you.
You're a rock star. I was going to say you were going to be a politician, but we have enough of those.